It's been another full-on day, plenty to think about. Interestingly, it actually started off with, we haven't had many new announcements. It's been a continuation. It's been a continuation of what we heard last year, and that's good actually, because it's still, you know, the aim and the intent is still to drive towards Microsoft's mission of helping every person on the planet to achieve more. There's been some interesting sound bites, as you would expect, and one of the things it's that classic, you know, if we all keep doing the same things, we'll always get the same results. You know, if we don't sort our data out before we make the move to new technologies, then we'll just make the same mistakes, just with more confidence. It's very clear in what is being talked about that a lot of the conversations we need to have are not about technology, they're about business. It's about what are the challenges of businesses, and then aligning the technologies and helping businesses use the technologies to achieve some real outcomes. Some you know, it's about the business, very clearly about the business. One of the things I've been doing today is going to a load of marketing sessions. So I hate to scare the marketing department, but there's loads and loads of ideas. But that's kind of, that's our concern internally. It's not quite so much but hopefully it will have an impact on what we can do to help our customers understand more about the technologies that are available and how they can help businesses to transform. So anyway, we'll go to who wants to speak first. Will we go to Stephen?
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, a couple of things that stood out. Every time I see the new stuff that goes into Teams, I'm still blown away by it. The one-click translate functionality. We've got a few customers who have got, you know, some global presence, either with partners or with their own existing customers. Invite them in. They can type in their own language that's native to them. One click, and it will just translate it into your native language. That type of stuff still blows me away.
And the free version, if you haven't already got into Teams, then give it a go.
Yeah, and it's really changing the way that we think about modern work. And the other thing that I noticed was out of the marathon core note, 3 hours or something like that, there was a good hour and a half when all they were talking about was end user productivity, like workplace productivity. And a lot of the sessions, they're really starting to break down what that means. So into the terminology, into your initial group, yourself, your inner loop, and then your wider loop, and then breaking down what parts of the technology fit in there and how to make that more efficient. And I just think we're just going to see that snowball, because we did that process for finance and ERP and CRM for customers 20 years ago. So this is a brand new area of just trying to make that whole world more efficient.
So I think from me, a hugely productive day, really. Lots of meetings with Microsoft, some really interesting ideas in terms of taking solutions to market, which will be able to add real value to customers. And there was stuff during the keynote that was interesting stuff. Microsoft's push in Azure is just stronger and stronger. More data centers. Again, they went on about the fact they've got more than Azure and Google combined, and the investment continues in terms of more data centers and connectivity. And they talked about them dropping a new cable between the US and Spain, which they've just finished, which is a 4,000-mile long cable. And he said, you know, if you've got a spare $1 billion lying around, you know, you can put your own cable in. You know, it's so the investment is huge, not just in the data center space, but in the connectivity. The reason they've done it between the US and Spain is to avoid geographic issues. So if there's some sort of tectonic plate issue which snaps an undersea cable, this is a secondary route to mainland Europe to connect all their data centers. So really interesting ideas. Talked about Teams that Stephen's picked up on there. There was a lot of talk on Teams, which was really interesting. And one of the things they mentioned was this: 80% of employees work in teams of some sort internally. So they are collaborating on either documents or work all the time, but only 13% of staff feel engaged. So Teams is a fantastic way of solving that problem and bringing that or getting rid of that issue. So I thought that was quite interesting. They talked about the investments in Internet of Things, and we see that at the moment, or we've seen it at the moment. And we mentioned the Carlsberg case study on the video yesterday. It really is quite often in quite large companies at the moment, but we're starting to see some use cases in smaller businesses. Ultimately, Microsoft are putting a huge amount of investment in, which means that they're betting big on this. There's $58 billion of investment going into IoT solutions. Phenomenal amount of investment, which shows that they think this is going to be big, not just for large companies, but also for SMBs. And we know there'll be that trickle-down effect, which will happen over time, almost certainly. They talked about the disruption that's going on in the marketplace. We are being disrupted. Microsoft are disrupting the marketplace, and obviously customers and consumers are also being disrupted. This is going to be a continual change. Disruption isn't going to start and finish. And they talked about, just looking at a stat of, you know, the Fortune 500, 52% of the Fortune 500 from the year 2000 onwards are no longer trading. They're just not in business anymore. It's showing the change in the marketplace, and the pace is accelerating. I went on a session on Azure information protection, a really dry session, but really interesting in terms of how they're looking at classification of documents and how important that is, particularly with GDPR, and how they're going to bring the information protection that's in Office 365 and Windows and Azure together into one kind of management platform, so that those labels and tags can go across the whole thing. And finally, for me, I looked at the Surface devices today. So I took a look at the new Surface Hub 2. Unfortunately, these things aren't available in the channel until next year, but fantastic device, really good, slightly smaller than the previous Surface devices that we've got. But still a fantastic collaboration device, and a lot lighter than the previous generation. So faster, lighter, better, and a great device. Also took a look at the Surface Go, which is going to be a fantastic addition to education. Really nice size and format device, and definitely aimed squarely at the iPad users. There's no question that that's where that's going to be aimed. So home use, and also things like schools. And with a price tag around about $399, it's gonna land very, very well in that marketplace, and it looks good. And you can attach a keyboard if you want to, or you can use it as a tablet if you prefer. So some really interesting stuff today, and I'm sure there'll be more tomorrow, because we've got Satya's keynote tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to, or Core Note now, as they're called.
Absolutely. So, you know, huge amount for us to digest. I think our heads are all spinning. A huge amount to kind of digest and consolidate and bring to our customers, and work out how we bring it to our customers, and how we help our customers make the most of what is very exciting technology. So I guess it's time for us to go. We were in Venice last night. I think we're in Paris tonight.
Paris tonight, yeah.
So let's go and see what else this mental city's got to offer. We'll see you again soon.
Cheerio.